You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Smile. And before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Smile is a 2022 horror film directed by Parker Finn in his feature film directorial debut. The film follows a doctor named Rose who begins to feel a disturbing presence following her after she witnesses a horrific death from a patient at her hospital. The terror begins taking over her life. She must face the terrors of her past in hopes to escape her horrifying new reality. Now, you see how crazy y'all look running around here smiling all the damn time? I tried to warn you. Smiling is no good. All that positivity, laughing, No, no. Smiling is an infectious terror. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to tell you. So if this film teaches you one thing, wipe that damn smile off your face already. Cut it out with all that smiling. I know a lot of people were hesitant based on those trailers, but I actually thought the trailers for Smile were quite strong. Particularly the first trailer they released, I thought was very effective. The teaser, very effective. And I was looking forward to seeing this film. Ultimately, it surpassed my expectations. I went in hoping for a good horror flick, really not expecting anything all that special, just wanting some good thrills. Left thinking that was a really solid movie. So let's go ahead and talk about those positives first. Well, I have to give a big positive to Parker Finn, who is our first time director here. He knocked it out of the park. I thought his directorial choices were really strong. They aided in creating this ambiance of doom and terror. We built up tension throughout the entirety of the film, and so much of that had to do with his direction. It was really well handled and makes me excited to see what he's able to do moving forward. And possibly even more impressive is that Parker Finn also wrote this film, and the screenplay was a lot more nuanced than I had originally imagined. I'm not going to say that this is an overly original film. It really takes from a concept that we've seen done quite a bit in horror films. Even before something like The Ring, we've had this idea of an impending death. You're racing against the clock. You know that your time is limited, and you are trying to find a way to beat this paranormal horror that is haunting you. And the only real way I thought to describe the film coming out was the mental health version of It Follows meets Oculus. Blend those two films together, and you kind of have the basis of what to expect when it comes to Smile. This is a trippy film that keeps you on your toes, not really knowing if what you're watching is really happening or where the next smiling scare is coming from. But it delves in deeper into trauma and how that trauma and how hurt is passed on from one person to the next. A really effective allegory for the transmission of trauma and pain, actually. And I thought they handled it very, very well here. Musical score was also solid and was used really well throughout the film to once again build up that scary ambiance. And the acting was all strong as well. Lucy Bacon, who plays our lead, is fantastic. I thought she nailed this role and fully embodied this character, gave her everything she needed to become a really fleshed out, sympathetic lead. Kyle Gallner is here, and he is a delight as well. He's not given as much heavy lifting to do, but he is a great supporting character for this cast. You know, I love Jesse T. Usher. And he also is a delight, though his character comes across a little bit more one dimensional. Everybody here, I thought, did a very good job. The scares are effective. Not only was I fully invested in the story and engaged throughout the runtime because I found the subject matter to be interesting and I was pulling for our lead character to find a solution, but also I was just constantly scanning the screen, wondering where that next scare was coming from. And it was really effective in how it did the delay scare. It's a tactic that's being used quite a bit now. We frame the shot in a very old school style horror frame, and then it teases and pulls away from the actual scare to give us a scare afterwards. Or, in the terms of Scream, kind of do that delayed jump scare over and over and over until they finally give it to you all that time later. Or maybe not at all. But this one does it very well. And there was one moment in the film that literally I like gasped in the movie theater. At a birthday party, you'll know when you see it. It is shocking. I was not prepared for what happened there. Yeah. Even when it gets a little bit big, I think the mind games of it all really stay effective. So then what doesn't work so well when it comes to Smile? Well, I have to say some of the visuals, and that's really what holds us back from fully gaining a great score and becoming an all-time classic. Every now and then we get those smiles, and while sometimes they can look quite menacing depending on who's doing it, others, they come off a little bit goofy. But like real toothy smiles from some really like kind of smiles, or when they're laughing or yelling, or when they're speaking through their smile, instead of coming off as like creepy or terrifying, it does verge and sometimes step over the line of goofy. In the final act, we start to really visualize a lot more of the terror as it obviously moves toward the forefront and we try to find a conclusion. And some of those visuals as well. Some are a little bit creepy, others needed a little bit more work in the rendering room. And again, it's all kind of concepts that we are familiar with when we get there. And there's a character decision that I understand near the end of the film. I know why, as a human, you would want to do this, but it was so frustrating. After everything we've learned and after everything we're going through here, that character decision really frustrated me. Also, a lot of our background characters are very one dimensional. They don't get really any sort of layers to them. And even though our lead does get a lot more backstory, I think that she even could have used with just a touch more shades in her persona. But everybody around her really is there to serve a purpose, and that's about it. Particularly like her sister and her husband are kind of caricatures, as is Jesse T. Usher's character as well. But ultimately, it's actually quite an effective film that really explores trauma and mental illness and how we, as a society, react to people coming to us and revealing themselves and that trauma and that kind of stigma and how it still lingers and kind of is the monster that passes from one person to another. The allegory works really well here in this film, and I found it to be quite effective. Add that to a really solid directing job, some creepy music, and a stellar lead performance. And I think Smile really is a fun horror film released just in the nick of time to get those scares in as we enter October. So if you're a horror fan, I say definitely go check out Smile. Give it a full price ticket. You know what to do. Friday, Saturday night viewing. That's what this one deserves. So that was my review for Smile. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Smile, or have you already seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah. See you next time. Bye.